There have been assertions that the reason aid has not been reaching northwest Syria is because of sanctions that are imposed and the refusal of the international community to temporarily lift those sanctions to enable the delivery of aid. However, this statement is simply not true. Firstly, the sanctions exempt humanitarian aid. This is why the UAE, Oman, Algeria, Iraq, Egypt, Lebanon, Iran, Saudi Arabia, China, Tunisia, India and more have all had no problem sending aid that has already arrived in Damascus and Aleppo airports. Of the aid that these countries have delivered, none has been sent to northwest Syria. None has been sent to Idlib. Some have suggested this is because the area is controlled by the opposition to Assad. However, there have been reports that a team from Egypt made it to the affected areas. In other words, this team made it through quickly without obstruction from the opposition groups. The problem is therefore not the opposition groups, but the Assad regime itself, which is in desperate straits after being punished by Tehran, which doubled the price of the oil it sells Syria as it becomes frustrated with the lack of rewards for its efforts in rescuing Assad. And Assad is also under pressure from Moscow to begin rewarding Russian efforts that rescued the regime from the popular attempt at revolution. In other words, Assad is siphoning the aid to ease the heavy pressure being exerted on him by his allies and refusing to divert the aid to opposition-held territory which has resisted him and frustrated his bid to restore his authority. And this is why Europe and the US are reluctant to send any aid through Damascus. They simply don't believe Assad will direct the aid to the affected areas. As for the border crossings, Russia has vetoed cross-border aid from the UN for years and reduced the number of crossings to one single crossing at Bab al-Hawa. However, the authorities at Bab al-Hawa have issued a statement that 3 days into the disaster and not a single aid convoy has been seen at the crossing. Moreover, the devastation has complicated the logistics of transporting aid by land from Turkey. Which brings us back to Assad, who has his hands on aid from more than 10 countries exempt from sanctions, and which he refuses to send to the devastated areas.